Imagine driving over some pretty rough roads for 3 hours only to find that the temple you had come to see was closed. But in this case, we did not mind it at all. Anilji, whose cab we had hired for all our excursions in Gwaldam, had now also become our tour guide. He had recommended that we visit the Latu Devta Mandir in Van, which was about 50 kilometers away. Latu Devta is a folk deity. He is worshipped only in the Gadwal region. Nobody knows exactly how old this temple is. We drove through some gorgeous landscapes, but I also saw landslide after landslide every few minutes. That made me a little nervous. 72% of Uttarakhand's area is landslide prone. The state reports around 1,000 landslides per year on an average. Add to that floods, earthquakes, cloudbursts, and you realize that your chances of getting unlucky over here are rather high. And whether you like it or not, at some point you find yourself doing some disaster tourism. Like here in Dharali, where Anilji had stopped to show us the aftermath of a disaster that had made headlines just last year. Dharali lies at the confluence of the Bhagirathi and the Khir Ganga rivers. The Khir Ganga is a tributary. We are on the bank of the Bhagirathi river just now. Until July 2025, this was a thriving tourist stop on the Chardham Yatra route. But on 5th August, 60% of this village was wiped out in minutes and 100 people were dead. There was a cloudburst in the upper reaches of the Khir Ganga, after which an avalanche of mud and rock came crashing down the river. The sludge that was flowing down was 12 to 18 meters high, and it came down so ferociously that it flattened everything in its path. These are the actual visuals of that tragedy. You see headlines like these with depressing regularity from June to September. Monsoon is the most dangerous season, Anilji tells us. It looks dangerous to me in summer itself. This road has become a dirt track now. So, after rattling along like this for 3 hours, finally we reached the Latu Dev Mandir. The deity that is worshipped here is Serpent King Nagraj, which is called Latu Dev here in Garhwal. Inside, Latu Dev is said to be guarding a magical jewel called a mani. I was eager to see this fabulous gem and I hurried up the steps, but the temple was closed. This is a miraculous temple in the block named Dewal in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand, where devotees are not allowed to go. Entry in the temple of woman or man is prohibited. Devotees have to worship from the temple at a distance of 15 feet. Oh, according to belief. Okay, this temple is always closed, it never opens. Anilji is telling us he has been inside sometime, but even the priest shuts his eyes and ears when he goes in. Now Anilji tells us that this temple is shut for 6 months of the year. It will open only on Vaishak Purnima, which is 10 days away. But even if it had been open, there was zero possibility of seeing any money because we would have had to offer prayers from a distance of 75 feet. Only the priest is allowed to enter the shrine, and he also does puja with a blindfold over his eyes. Nobody looks at the deity itself because it is believed that whoever sees him will go blind, and I'm sure nobody wants to take a chance. A Himalayan cypress towers over the shrine. It may be as old as the myth of the temple itself. Let me tell you the story of this Latudev temple. Latudev is the adopted brother of Nanda Devi. Once Latudev got drunk and created a ruckus in the village, and all the people were quite alarmed. To punish him, his sister Nanda Devi locked him up in this temple forever. But later she relented and allowed the doors of the temple to be opened on Vaishak Purnima each year. on the condition that they would be closed again on Kartik Purnima. What a story!
So I'm slowly falling in love with Uttarakhand. It's a beautiful place. It's a hard life, but when you're surrounded by such beauty, I think that softens the hardship a little bit.
I picked up some seeds of these Himalayan cypress trees to take home in memory of Latu Devta. They look like gungrus, and these mighty trees grow from the tiny seeds that are inside these pods. It was Ravi's birthday that day. There's the birthday boy trying to measure the girth of the tree. It reminded me of the Chipko movement of the early 70s, which started in the village of Reni in this very Chamoli district. At that time, there were growing protests by the villagers against unchecked commercial logging that was happening all over Uttarakhand. Then one day on March 25th in 1975, in Reni village, a little girl came running up to the head of the village, Gaura Devi, and she breathlessly told her that loggers were cutting down trees in the nearby forest. The menfolk of Reni had been lured away to the city under the pretext of giving them some money as land compensation. So there were no men in the village on that day to confront the contractors. So Gaura Devi and 27 other women of Reni, they stepped up and they put up a spontaneous resistance. They tightly hugged the trees that were marked for cutting and they formed protective rings around them. It became impossible for the loggers to cut them down. The women refused to budge for days, even when they were threatened with guns. Finally, the loggers left in defeat. The matters reached the CM's office. He set up a committee to resolve the conflict, and this committee ruled in favor of the villagers. With this, the Chipko movement became a landmark in the history of environmental activism.
We are in Van village, which is the last motorable village on this stretch. From here, the Rukun trek starts.
I would have been quite happy to hang around here all day, but Anilji said we should now go to the marketplace in one and make arrangements for lunch. In dhabas in such remote places, food is cooked only after you place your order, and what you get depends on what ingredients they have, or they may have to go and buy the ingredients, and all this may take time. But we got this simple meal after 30 minutes. A few kilometers after we had left Van, Anilji stopped again in a place called Lohajang and he asked us to go and explore the marketplace. He said you will find it interesting. So we walked around and curiously we found that most shops here were selling trekking gear. I wondered why would anyone embark on a trek and then plan to buy their shoes and jackets in this remote second last motorable village, and then it dawned on me that these are rentals. You get all kinds of trekking gear on rent here. And then this Ghoda Khachar Union also made sense. These would be the porters, I guess, that accompany the trekking groups. As I was wondering what a meeting of the Ghoda Khachar Union would look like, I saw this lady waving and calling me to her shop. She was more interested in chatting than in selling me anything.
दो सुई पे या एक सुई पे एक ही सुई पे क्रोशा दिखाओ वाह खुद के लिए बनाओगे या किसी और घर वाले के बहू के लिए अच्छा ये अपने लिए बना ली ना बहुत अच्छा है जीप वाली
I did buy a couple of things from her. This earring, because this design seemed to be very popular with the Pahadi ladies, and then an amulet to save me from evil eyes, and another cute earring. Back in Kualdam, we celebrated Ravi's birthday with an ice cream, and we thought how lucky we were to have seen this unique temple today. I may never get to come here again, but I hope Latu Dev continues to rest under the giant cypress for many more centuries, wrapped forever in mist and mystery.